We all know Donald Trump is an idiot. Now, we know that man didn't spend any time going to museums as a child because he literally is one of the dumbest people ever to occupy the Oval Office. Now, one of the things that you're seeing the attacks on the arts. He's completely taken over the Kennedy Center, changing how they do business, saying that, they should be recognizing different people. You know what that means. It's going to be a whole bunch of country artists and, of course, Trump ass kissers who he's going to be recognizing. Then, of course, we see now he wants to make cuts. They want to stop National Medal of the Arts, the humanities, and we go on and on and on. And then the attack on the Smithsonian. All of this is happening because this is what dictators do. They attack the culture icons. They attack education. Don't want people learning. They attack culture. Joining us right now, Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Glad to have you back on the show. I mean, look, this is right out of the authoritarian dictator playbook. You attack the cultural institutions because you need people to remain ignorant.
Absolutely, Roland. Those are the actions of a dictator that pushes lies and propaganda. The reason why they're anti-woke is because they want a citizenry that is asleep, that is ignorant and uninformed, that is indifferent to the suffering of their neighbors, and that is inactive. And that's why the only way that we can beat a dictator is with defiance. We have to resist and reject at every turn and not accept this draconian, white supremacist, dystopian view of Donald Trump's America. And that's why myself, Congressman Tonko who chairs the Museum Caucus for the House. It is why we've partnered together in demanding the Inspector General let us know exactly what would be the impact of Donald Trump's executive order, which means to defund and dismantle our cultural institutions and in the name of anything that is race-centered or divisive. I mean, just does not want an accurate telling of history. And so some 70 members of our caucus have signed that letter with me. This is one of the few inspector generals that has not been fired, Roland. They are statutorily obligated to respond to Congress. And so we're demanding answers because the Smithsonian was established in the 1800s to be independent and to be nonpartisan. So this flies in the face of its mission. And again, it's attack on Black folks and our history. Unsurprising because Donald Trump is anti-Blackness on steroids. And Roland, something I know you'll appreciate that I found most alarming in the executive order is that it says that race is biology, that it is not a social construct. And that is actually the belief system of the Ku Klux Klan.
I mean, it's no shock at all when you look at in terms of what they're doing. And all of this is directly out of the playbook of Project 2025, which we tried to warn people, and people kind of like, oh, man, y'all making too big of a deal about this. And it's like, well, it's right in front of you. This is what they're doing. They want to destroy all of these institutions because they want to establish this as an ultra right-wing extremist conservative nation.
That's right. And Roland, people may not appreciate that not only is this a direct assault on Black history, not only do they not want a history being taught that tells people how to overcome domestic terrorism, of the Ku Klux Klan, of a weaponized government, of how to overcome oppression. But this is not only an attack on our Smithsonians and our Blacksonian here in Washington, D.C. There are some 200 affiliates throughout the country that benefit from the technical support of shared exhibits and of funding throughout our country. So it's not just about our Smithsonians here. It stands to have an impact to some 200 affiliates throughout the country. And moreover, it is an attack on the future of the American Latino Museum and the Women's Museum, both things that Congress has been working on for quite some time.
The thing that I think people need to also understand that we're seeing here is what they also want is they want to go back to the original white man's version of what American history is. They don't want the record to be corrected. They want those lies to continue to be promoted. And I keep telling people, all of this came to a head 5 years ago with the murder of George Floyd. That sparked what I and others were calling a third Reconstruction, and that was anger. So therefore, they attacked Black Lives Matter in 2021. They attacked critical race theory in 2022. They attacked woke in 2023.
Right.
They attacked DEI in 2024.
Right.
And so this is what they're saying. They do not want a true, accurate telling of American history. They still want his story to prevail. And what Donald Trump will do is literally order changes to these museums to tell that fake white man's American history. That's
right. And very consistent with someone who seeks to make America Jim Crow again. And, you know, this is an anti-freedom agenda. This administration, this hostile administration in the midst of this hostile government takeover, they mean to control what books we read. They mean to control our museums. They mean to control what we do with our very bodies. This is an anti-freedom agenda, and it's an attack on the freedom to learn. You know, something as basic and fundamental as that. So we're demanding answers from one of the few inspector generals that's still standing. They are accountable to Congress. And again, we're looking at in every way that we can get transparency and better understand how will the Smithsonian continue its mission and what will be the impacts of this executive order on the Smithsonians here, the Smithsonians that were in the pipeline, and again, for those 200 affiliates. But, you know, what I'm most focused on is that Blacksonian in the midst of this, period of an emboldened white supremacy and anti-blackness on steroids.
Look, this happened today. Go to my iPad. A judge blocks Trump from shuttering federal agency that funds museum and libraries. And of course, U.S. District Judge John McConnell in Providence, Rhode Island, agreed with 21 mostly Democrat-led states that Trump's March executive order directing that the agencies effectively be wiped out violated the U.S. Constitution. He said, quote, "This executive order ignores the unshakable principles that Congress makes the law and appropriates funds, and the executive implements the law Congress enacted and spends the funds Congress appropriated," wrote McConnell, who was appointed by former President Barack Obama. This is the thing here. Republicans are silent. They are letting this thug do whatever he wants to do. And what Donald Trump is suggesting is that members of Congress, the 435 in the House, the 100 in the Senate, y'all don't get to do a damn thing. He wants to be the king, the dictator. All power rests with him. And this is critically important because a lot of people, and I guarantee you, you've been hearing this. You know what? We need to be careful how we play this. We need to be very gentle because, you know, this can make him mad. Listen, this thug will do what a thug does. Mm-hmm. We have to be responding with a fierce sense of urgency and hitting him with everything. And that means what members of Congress do. That means protests. That means lawsuits, everything, because you cannot give this thug an inch.
Absolutely not. Like I said, he's the dictator. The only way to beat a dictator is with defiance. And the fact of the matter is that, MAGA is a cult, but it's a movement. And, I was talking to President Morial about this earlier today. The only way to beat a movement is with a movement. So, yes, this is on members of Congress to, in our defensive strategy, to litigate, to legislate, to agitate, to mobilize, to be exhaustive. Because, Roland, I don't believe that this is just about how do we weather the next 4 years. I believe this will shape and determine the next 100 years.
Yeah.
So everyone has to give a damn about this. And I need everybody, to reach out to their members of Congress and ask them, I'm just appealing to people of conscience. Do you want an accurate telling of history? This is an attack on the freedom to learn. This is an attack on the accurate telling of history, of our intellectual freedoms. And again, it flies in the face of the original mission of the Smithsonian to be nonpartisan and independent. And here's Donald Trump saying, I don't want anything that's race-centered, when everything that he does is centered on identity and race, but nothing that's race-centered or divisive. And that could certainly define what this administration is and what they're about in every single way. So we need everybody.
I'm glad you made the point that this is a 100-year battle. I mean, that's literally what I wrote in my book, White Fear. I said, this is a war. This is not about the next election. They want to lock in this. They want to seize the power, and they want to destroy these institutions, and they want to lock this in for the next 50 to 100 years. And so what we are doing is today we are literally countering these actions for the benefit of our children's children's children.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is, Roland, one of the things that gets on my nerve is that whenever Democrats in the minority, people will say, well, are you open to bipartisanship? I'm like, where's the party to be bipartisan with? This is a cult of cowards that have been complicit in the wholesale harm of our people.
And ain't nobody ever asking them to be bipartisan. No one ever
never asked that question.
That's why I didn't even like you a vice president.
They never asked that. And then in our committee hearings, in the midst of this budget reconciliation, they have been silent. They are not, how this process works. We're supposed to fight for, each side is supposed to vigorously defend what they're fighting for, what they want to see preserved, why they think something needs to be eliminated. And they have been silent. They are just, Republicans in the House have ceded all of their power and authority. And Donald Trump not only does he not like to read, he clearly has never had a civics lesson because he doesn't understand separation of powers, co-equal branches of government, that Congress controls the power of the purse. Again, they want a citizenry that is ignorant and uninformed. And that's why I'm so grateful for you, Roland, because you're making sure that people do have the information. And just even a free press, a free black press in this moment is probably one of the most radical things. So we're grateful for you.
Well, absolutely. In the spirit of William Monroe Trotter, who was thrown out of the White House by that racist President Woodrow Wilson because he dared to challenge him to his face. This is what the moment requires. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.